Hi, I'm back with another vlog. Today I want to take a look at a video from Misterrichardson YouTube channel called Lahoma Van Zant On The Brink of an Intervention. So this is obviously on the YouTube channel Misterrichardson, which I believe is run by Dick Richards, who also runs 9 Fifth Avenue Project. In the description for the video itself, it says, in this startling interview they conducted for the American music show, Lurleen Wallace, who is left of Lahoma, and Judy LaGrange, who is right of Lahoma, sensed that Lahoma was starting to spiral downward into the world of non-stop parties, liquor, drugs, and destructiveness that would make the club kids notorious. They subtly tried to prevent that, but failed. So one interesting thing about this video is that Lahoma definitely seems out of sorts. In fact, within a minute of the interview beginning, you can see other queens entering the vicinity, entering the camera shot, as they definitely sense that something is different, something's going on. Lahoma's very interested in talking about her concerns with the economy and how she wants people to go out and start stimulating the economy and buying again. Judy LaGrange, who was a longtime co-worker and friend of Lahoma's, she was a performer, drag performer. I believe she was transgender, and she was also a psychic. She performed with Lahoma and was featured in Larry T's music video, The Playboy, from La Palace de Beauté, and she was also featured on the album itself, as well as the promotional material. So anyway, Judy LaGrange interjects and asks Lahoma, trying to direct the conversation, what does it feel like to be home? Lahoma indulges her for, maybe not quite a minute, and then she's going back to her concerns about the economy. Now this is really what interests me in this, because it is interesting if you think about what was going on in the US at the time. During the 80s, AmericanHistoryUSA.com reported that during the era of the 80s and early 90s, there was a number of corresponding developments in the American financial life that began. So the decline in personal savings rate, increase in advertising, the start of cable, increase in stock values at rates well above historical levels, increase in real estate prices, college education prices, government deficits, and other credit-dependent variables, increasing cultural acceptance of consumer debt as a normal part of life. That's a big one there. Stagnant wages, decline in financial literacy, that's another big one, and increases in bankruptcy. So this was all happening, but the US was doing very, very well in the 80s under the Reagan administration. Financially, the economy was booming. Econprof.net reported, as America entered the early 1990s, President George H.W. Bush, so President Bush I, inherited the economic prosperity of the Reagan years, which rejuvenated the nation. However, by July of 1990, the economy fell into a recession. The federal budget deficit increased despite President Bush's tax hikes as the economy contracted and unemployment increased by 1.8 million workers. So even though the recession ended in March of 1991, the economy was experiencing what people called the jobless recovery, where even though the economy was recovering, the unemployment rates remained stagnant. So compounding this problem at that time was the popular perception in the US that President Bush was not doing enough to help the economy. So this is something that Lahoma points out. They also discuss credit cards, using credit cards. So beforehand, credit cards were charging interest rates of about 20%. It was reduced to about, I think, 2 to 3% afterwards, but they definitely bring that up. They bring up credit cards at that time, so I found that very interesting as well. Anyway, so Lahoma goes on to basically say that we need to vote this piece of blank out of office, at which point Judy LaGrange makes the comment that Lahoma has changed, and something to the effect of, I don't know if I like the new Lahoma. You can definitely see that after that point, LaGrange sort of checks out. One of the queens says, there's a gentleman here who's offering to buy us all drinks, and they all order, except for LaGrange, and when she's asked why, she said, no, I'm tired. I have a sneaking suspicion that she may have not taken that drink because she suspected she may have been looking after Lahoma later that night. That's the only time I cut myself off at a bar usually, is if I know I'm going to have to be dragging someone's butt out later on that evening. But I thought that was very interesting. The behavior all the other queens sort of rallying around her when she's definitely seeming out of sorts, and definitely you can sense the concern, mostly from Lagrange, that something is definitely wrong. But I also found it very interesting in context of what was going on in the US economy at that time and what was going on with the politics. There was definitely a lot of anxiety in the US about the state of the economy, and there was also a lot of resentment towards President Bush for allowing the economy, or the perception of him allowing the economy to falter the way that it did, especially after the economic success of the Reagan years. But anyway, this isn't supposed to be a history lesson. I just thought this was really interesting. I hope you guys found it interesting too. I wanted to share that with you today, and enjoy the rest of your day, guys. I will see you again for my next regular upload.